You walked away once, and somehow that changed everything. Not for her, for you. That's where this begins. If this kind of content speaks to you, take a moment and subscribe. There's more waiting here for you. Now let's go deeper. You've been thinking about her, maybe every day, maybe only in quiet moments, maybe at night when everything is silent and your thoughts have nowhere else to go. You replay conversations. You think about what you said, what you didn't say, what you wish you had done differently. And deep in your mind, one question keeps coming back. Is it possible to win her back? That's why you're here. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to give you tricks. I'm not going to teach you how to manipulate someone into loving you. Because that's not what you really want. You want something real. You want something genuine. And that doesn't start with a message. It starts with you. Let's begin there. Months of no contact passed. Time moved on. Life kept going. But something stayed with you. Something didn't let go. And the first thing you need to understand is this. That feeling is not weakness. Missing someone deeply does not mean you failed. It means it mattered. It means what you had was real. And real things deserve real thinking. Not desperate action, not emotional decisions, but reflection, honesty, understanding. Those silent months were not empty. They were important. Something changed in you during that time, even if you don't fully see it yet. And that change is where everything begins. Because here's the truth, most men completely miss. The question is not, how do I win her back? The real question is, who did you become while she was gone? Think about that. Who are you now? Not who you were when it ended. Not who you were when you were together. Who are you now? This is the only question that matters. Because attraction doesn't respond to words. It responds to reality. It responds to who you actually are when you walk into a room. When you speak without needing approval. When you carry yourself like a man who knows his value. That is what draws people back. Not perfect messages, not timing, not clever words, the right version of you. And becoming that version, that is the real work. Now let's talk about identity, because most men approach this from the wrong place. They come from emptiness, from loss, from a version of themselves that depended on the relationship and broke when it ended. And yes, that happens. When something important ends, it leaves a gap. But that gap is not just pain. That gap is also an opportunity. It's space where something new can grow, something stronger, something more honest, something built for you, not for her, not to impress anyone, for you. Identity is not who you used to be. Identity is not the version she met. Identity is what you build when no one is watching, when there is no reward, no audience, just you. That is your real self. That is the version worth building, not the one that performs, not the one that tries too hard, but the one that is calm, grounded, present. A man who does not need to prove himself is already more attractive than a man who tries. Remember that. Now let's talk about attraction. And let's be honest about it. Attraction after separation is not the same as before. In the beginning, everything is new. There is excitement, there is mystery, there is energy. But after time apart, after silence, attraction has to be rebuilt. And it cannot be rebuilt with memories. It cannot be rebuilt by reminding her of the past. It can only be rebuilt by showing who you are now. And here is the uncomfortable truth. If you haven't changed, nothing will change. You will get the same result again because the relationship ended for a reason, maybe more than one. And until those reasons are faced honestly, nothing improves. This is not harsh. This is real. And real is what helps you. So ask yourself, what really caused it to end? Not what she did, not the situation. What did you bring into that relationship that didn't work? Where were you not present? Where were you not honest? Where were you not grounded? Where were you avoiding yourself? These are hard questions. Most men avoid them. But if you avoid them, you repeat the same story, different person, same pattern, again and again, until one day you stop and say, this is mine to fix. That is ownership. And everything starts there. Attraction is not built on words. It is built on foundation. A man who has faced himself, worked on himself, changed for real, that man is attractive. Not just to her, to everyone. Most importantly, to himself. And when you truly respect yourself, everything changes. The way you speak, the way you move, the way you handle pressure, the way you look at people. She will feel that. Not because you tried, but because it's real. Now let's talk about self-respect, because this is where most men fail. They think about her, they think about the relationship, but they forget about themselves. Self-respect is not ego, it is not arrogance. It is quiet confidence. It is knowing your time matters. Your feelings matter, you deserve honesty, you deserve clarity, you deserve respect, not something you beg for, not something you earn through suffering. A man without self-respect accepts anything, just to have her back. He ignores his needs, he hides his pain, he becomes smaller, just to keep the connection. But that is not love. That is losing yourself. Real connection only happens When both people choose it freely, without pressure, without games, without one person shrinking, you must come from fullness, not from need, not from loneliness, not from fear, but from a place where your life is already moving, where you are already building something real, where you don't need her. But you still value her. That energy is completely different, and she will feel it. You will feel it too. Because when you stand in self respect, the outcome doesn't control you. If she comes back, you move forward. If she doesn't, you stay strong. You don't break, you don't chase, you continue. Because your foundation is solid, not cold, but grounded. Now let's talk about purpose, because without purpose, everything starts to fall apart. A man without direction begins to drift. His mind goes back to what he lost, to what is missing, to what could have been, and slowly that becomes his focus. But purpose changes that. Purpose gives your life direction again. It gives you something to build, something to move toward, and this is important. Purpose is not just being busy. Busy is just distraction. Purpose is different. Purpose is something that belongs to you, something that matters to you, something you wake up for. When a man has purpose, he moves differently. He is not stuck in the past. He is not waiting for someone to complete him. He is building. He is growing. And from that place, relationships become a choice. Not a need, not something to fix you, but something to add to your life. And reaching out to her from purpose is very different from reaching out from emptiness. One says, I have something real to offer. The other says, I need something from you. And that difference is everything. So if you've spent those months in silence and you still don't have direction, start there. Not with her, with yourself. What matters to you? What are you building? What kind of man are you becoming? Answer those questions, live those answers, then reconnecting will make sense because now you are bringing something real. Now let's talk about grounding, because this is something most men never learn. And yet it changes everything. Being grounded does not mean being cold. It does not mean hiding emotions. It does not mean controlling everything. Being grounded means staying steady, even when life is not. It means you don't panic when things go wrong. You don't lose yourself when someone pulls away. You don't collapse when emotions come. You feel them, but you stay in control. You stay present. You stay you. That is grounding, and it cannot be faked. You build it through hard moments, through discomfort, through facing yourself honestly, through keeping promises to yourself, through sitting with emotions instead of escaping them. Over time, you become stable, not because life is easy, but because you are strong inside. And that stability, like people feel it, they feel safe around it. They don't have to manage you. They don't have to guess your mood. They don't have to walk carefully around you. They can just be themselves. And that is rare. That is powerful. And that is attractive. Now let's talk about the moment of reconnecting, because eventually there comes a point where you may reach out, and how you do it matters. Not the words, not the message, but your state. Reach out from peace, not pressure, not anxiety, not because you couldn't wait anymore, but because you are clear, calm, grounded. A place that says, I've thought about this, I know what I want, and I'm speaking honestly. That kind of message feels different. It doesn't demand anything, it doesn't push, it simply opens a door, and then it lets her choose, because that's the truth. She has to choose. You cannot force someone to come back. You cannot earn your way into her decision. All you can do is show up as your best self. Be honest, be clear, and let go of the outcome. That is not weakness. That is strength. To want something, to say it clearly, and still accept whatever answer comes. That is self-respect in action. Now let's face another truth. Sometimes she's not coming back. Sometimes the silence was the answer. Sometimes what you had is over. And no amount of growth will change that. You can improve, you can grow, you can reach out in the right way. And still, she may say no, or say nothing, or move on. And that is her right. And your response to that, that is the real test. Not of her, of you. If you break completely and if you lose yourself again, then you were still doing this for her. But if you stay strong, if you keep building, if you move forward anyway, then you did this for yourself. And that man, he will be okay, more than okay. He will grow. He will attract someone who chooses him fully, without doubt, without hesitation. And he will be ready, not because the pain is gone, but because he learned to carry it. Now let's talk about those silent months again, because they matter. Silence is not healing if you're just waiting. That is just delayed pain. But silence used for growth, that is different. If you use that time to actually work on yourself, not for show, not for social media, but privately, honestly, then that time changed you. And that change is your real advantage, not over her, over your future, because your next chapter does not have to look like your last one. Now let's talk about loneliness, because it lives here and it's real. After a deep connection ends, feeling lonely is normal. It doesn't make you weak. It means something mattered. But loneliness can also confuse you. It can make you believe she is the only one. She is the only solution. And most of the time, That's not true. What you are missing is connection, closeness, being understood, being chosen. And those things can exist with different people. So when you feel that pull toward her, pause. Ask yourself, what do I really miss, her or the feeling? Because that answer changes everything. Sometimes the answer is to reach out. Sometimes the answer is to build a better life. Only you can decide that. Now, for those who already reached out and didn't get the answer they wanted, listen carefully. You did something brave, you were honest, and that matters. Now the next step is harder. Let it be. Don't send another message, don't chase, don't explain yourself again. Give space, trust what you said was enough. Trust that she understood. And if something is there, it will come naturally. Chasing rarely works, growth and patience do. And finally, let's end with this. Winning her back is not really about winning. That word is misleading. This is not a game. It is a choice. Two people choosing each other. And the only real way back is to first choose yourself, fully, without conditions, without expecting her as the reward. Because the real reward is who you become. Stronger, clearer, more grounded, more complete. She may come back, she may not. But either way, you move forward as a better man. And that man attracts what he truly deserves, not because he chased it, but because he became it. That is the answer, not a message, not a trick, but the work. Standing tall, choosing yourself every single day. If this spoke to you, if it made you think, if it gave you something real, subscribe. Because this space is for men who are building themselves, men who choose growth over comfort, men who are becoming something real.